Hey there, happy Friday. From the KUOW newsroom, this is Seattle Now. I'm Patricia Murphy. Here's a roundup of today's top stories. It's October 17th. Seattle officials say they're trying to provide more clarity around federal immigration enforcement. They want to ban the use of face masks by law enforcement, and they want local police to document these encounters. Amy Radel explains.
Masking by federal agents during immigration arrests has sparked panic and questions. The Seattle Police Department is developing guidance for officers called to these scenes. Here's SPD's Chief Operating Officer Brian Maxey.
We respond with a supervisor. We do our best to identify this is a legitimate federal agency of some kind.
Maxey says local police can't obstruct federal enforcement, but they won't facilitate it either. Greg Wong is deputy mayor and general counsel for Mayor Bruce Harrell. He says local police can shed more light on federal operations.
There'll also be a requirement that body-worn cameras are turned on and that we're documenting these interactions as well to increase transparency.
Wong says the city will also seek to ban federal agents or troops from using city property. A statement from Homeland Security said federal officials are trying to establish law and order. Amy Radel, KUOW News.
Thousands are expected to march in Seattle this weekend as part of the national protest against the president, and city leaders are urging people to keep it cool, as Casey Martin reports.
The march on Saturday is in response to the federal crackdown on immigration and other executive actions taken by the president. In recent weeks, Trump has sent the National Guard to cities like Portland because of the protests there. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell said the city is expecting a large turnout on Saturday. Here he is at a Mariners rally on Thursday.
We want them to be loud, but we are always mindful of the safety issues. And so we've said repeatedly, don't take the bait. And that's what they want us to do. They want to create chaos. We do not want that kind of chaos here.
This is the second so-called No Kings March this year. The first one in June brought out an estimated 70,000 people in Seattle for a mostly peaceful demonstration. That night, however, there was a smaller protest downtown where police arrested a few people. Casey Martin, KUOW News.
If you are heading to the rally, pack your umbrella. There's a new wetter weather system headed toward the Puget Sound area. Maddie Christelle is with the National Weather Service.
So it's definitely going to be a damp one. You'll really start to see some rain and breezy conditions fill in tomorrow afternoon and evening. And that'll persist into Sunday before things start to taper off late Sunday night.
Christelle says higher mountain elevations will see substantial snowfall. She predicts as much as 3 feet at Mount Baker, but says snow levels won't come down to the Stevens or Snoqualmie Pass level. On the other end of the weekend, Christelle says Monday and Tuesday should be fairly dry before another system arrives on Wednesday. The candidates for Seattle mayor took on bike safety at a forum held by environmental groups yesterday. Incumbent Mayor Bruce Harrell said the city has seen fewer pedestrian deaths since he took office and had no bicyclist deaths last year, thanks in part to recent changes.
When I directed our department to prohibit right turns all around the city, my email box was full because people don't, but we're saving lives.
Katie Wilson founded the advocacy group Transit Riders Union and is hoping to unseat Harrell. She says she rides a bike and would support better connected bike trails.
Obviously looking at our recently passed transportation levy and making sure that we're making the most effective use possible of the funds in that levy for bicycle infrastructure to be building out that connected network.
Wilson said she'd also support local funding for electric bike rebates. The King County Auditor's Office is out with its top priorities for next year's budget, critical recommendations that departments have yet to carry out. Ann Dornfeld reports.
The Auditor's Office says its high-risk list presents the County Council with significant safety, financial, or reputational risks to the county, like disproportionate rates of solitary confinement for Black jail inmates and fire safety concerns at King County Courthouse. The Auditor's Office flagged that problem a decade ago, and its recommendation to overhaul the county's data privacy system is 6 years old, says Auditor Kimber Waltmanson.
If the recommendations in our high-risk list were easy to implement, it's likely that the county would have already taken action. Our audits often delve into complex, multifaceted, multi-agency problems.
The auditor's office told the council that along with budget lines, it might take legislation for county departments to follow through with its recommendations. Ann Dornfeld, KUOW News.
More than 1,100 federal employees in Washington state have applied for unemployment benefits with the federal shutdown now in its third week. Overall, unemployment claims are rising, with weekly applications climbing to more than 6,000 in mid-October. Layoffs at major employers, including Starbucks, Microsoft, and Fred Meyer, have contributed to more than 15,000 job losses this year. The FAA has approved plans to add a new terminal and dozens of other projects at SeaTac Airport. King 5 News reports the FAA's findings clear a major obstacle to the airport's expansion. Passenger traffic at SeaTac grew by 70% during the 2010s. Airport officials say the new construction will enable them to handle 56 million passengers a year by 2032. The next step for the expansion plan is a state environmental review. Now, our feature story today. As ICE looks to deport 1 million people nationwide, attorneys are increasingly concerned about unlawful arrests. Some immigrants in Tacoma's ICE facility have challenged their detention in a way that appears to be on the rise. Gustavo Segreiro reports they're going outside the immigration system and turning to federal courts to get released.
Matt Adams is just one of many immigration attorneys in the Seattle area filing habeas corpus cases. These in particular are for immigrants locked up at ICE processing centers nationwide.
A habeas case is when we go to court and tell the judge our client is being unlawfully locked up. They're imprisoned in violation of the law, and the court should order their release.
Adams is legal director for the Northwest Immigrant Rights Project. He says they've seen a dramatic increase in habeas cases this year. A wrongful arrest can include any time a person's rights are potentially violated, like if someone is not given a chance to notify an attorney or told why they're in custody. One example is what happened this summer to Alan Fitzatacone.
Yeah, I'm getting taken in, so we'll be in Tacoma, the Tacoma Detention Center. I'll try to call later, okay? All right, I love you guys. Bye.
Fitzatacone's wife, Cheryl Eugenio, got this voicemail after he went in for an ICE check-in.
At that moment, I was like, I need to figure out, I was like, what? And I replayed it, like, did I hear that right? And I told the kids, I said, let's get down. I need to see what's going on.
Fitzatacone lives with his wife and 3 kids in West Seattle. His wife says there was no notice or heads up they were going to detain him. That's a red flag that a lawyer would later key in on. When she went in to find out why her husband was arrested, Eugenio says ICE agents didn't say. Fitzatacone had been doing these ICE check-ins for years. He had come to the U.S. as a refugee from Laos. Over 20 years ago, he was convicted of a non-violent felony, which he got a deportation order for. But at that time, Laos refused to take in deportees. As a result, he was released on the condition that he check in with ICE. Then, earlier this year, the federal government quietly began attempting to deport former refugees like Fitzatacone. Eugenio saw the stories, but didn't expect this could happen to her family.
At first, I was still in shock, but then it was like, okay, it's like all these thoughts running through your head, like, what's my next step? What do I do?
Many families are often quiet about what they're going through, and that was almost the case for the Fitzatacone's family. Word got out through their school community, and they were able to get help with the Seattle Clemency Project. Jenny Pascareya is their legal director.
The government's trying to expeditiously deport him.
She and her team found that his arrest was unlawful.
He's been dutifully checking in with ICE as required under his order of supervision. And so when he went for his check-in just this past July, he thought it would be the same as it always has been.
In court, government attorneys argued that Fitzatacone had a standing deportation order. They also tried to prove they had the required documents to re-detain him and travel documents to send him to Laos. But his lawyers argued those documents weren't signed by any immigration official, and the deportation papers were only presented after he was locked up in detention. Federal Judge Jamal Whitehead found the government's evidence questionable and wrote his detention raised serious questions of due process, suggesting ICE didn't follow its own rules of supervised release. Judge Whitehead ordered Fitzatacone be released.
I'll open up my garage. See.
Back at home, the deportation case still hangs over the life Fitzatacone's built here, a life you can almost see in his packed garage.
So, I mean, we have all this stuff we're giving away to kids, and these are all Nerf guns. You know, kids are already kind of outgrown them. We have...
He's got old toys, skateboards, things he's been adding to a donation pile. His kids are all in their teens and older now. Some have gone off to college. It's clear he's proud of the family he's grown with his wife and excited for the plans yet to come.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like America, right, in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, house in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Real truck. Going off to college.
Yeah. In the coming months, he still has to fight his deportation. But that'll be a lot easier, he says, from outside of detention. Gustavo Sagrero, KUOW News.
And that's all for today from the KUOW Newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst, and I'm Patricia Murphy. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. Have a great weekend.